have got to die, Louise. You have got to die.
We present John Moffat as
February the 20th, 1935. Tiger's Palace Hotel. This looks like being my last week in Baghdad. The Wrights are going back to England next Monday and need a nurse to look after their little girl on the journey. But I've explained to them that I'd really like to stay on for a bit longer. Not in Baghdad. I've had quite enough of that. I would like the chance to see something of the real East. And now something new has cropped up. Dr. Riley, the civil surgeon at Hassania, phoned to ask me to meet him at the English Club. He says he may possibly have a job for me.
It has to be a fully qualified nurse. He was most insistent upon that. So naturally I thought of you.
And who would I be looking after? Another baby?
Well, no, not a baby exactly. It's a lady. A lady who's, oh, well, how shall I put it? Well, she has fancies.
Are you trying to tell me she drinks or drugs, Dr. Riley? I'd rather know straight away.
Oh, what a puritanical soul you are, Amy Leathern. It's nothing like that at all. She's the wife of Dr. Leitner, the Swedish-American archaeologist. He's in charge of a major excavation out in Hassania. They're uncovering an ancient Assyrian city on my territory, medically speaking.
And what's wrong with the lady exactly? Why does she need a nurse?
Leitner's not very forthcoming about it. He says she has these recurring fits of nervous terrors.
What kind of terrors?
I really don't know. As I understand it, Leitner's got quite enough on his plate with all the problems of the dig. He wants someone whose professional skill he can rely on to keep an eye on his wife.
And what does Mrs. Leitner herself think about it?
Mrs. Leitner is rather an odd woman. Something of a femme fatale. The Sphinx of the Mona Lisa and Helena Troy rolled into one. I suspect that she's a champion liar into the bargain. But Leitner seems honestly to believe that she is scared out of her life by something or other.
Sounds quite a chap.
So, what do you think? You'd see something of the country before you go home, and the excavation's bound to be interesting, if you care for that sort of thing.
I think I might try.
Well, Leitner's in Baghdad now. I'll turn to come round to the Tiger's Palace and see if he can fix things up with you.
It's so difficult to explain to anyone who hasn't met her. My wife is in a very nervous state. We are all very worried about her.
Is she in good physical health?
Oh, yes, there is no question of that. But she imagines things.
What kind of things?
Oh, she works herself up about nothing at all. I honestly do believe that her fears have no foundation in reality.
But what difference would it make my being there? I'm not an analyst. I'm just a nurse. Have you discussed with her the idea of my coming out to Hassania?
Oh, yes, I have.
And what does she think about it?
She said you thought it was a very good idea. I was most pleasantly surprised, I can tell you. She said she would feel safer.
Safer? What a strange way to put it. Can't you tell me what it is your wife's afraid of?
I hope, I believe that she will tell you that herself.
I see.
But you will come. You will accept?
Yes, Dr. Ladner, I will accept.
And how soon can you come?
Just give me a couple of days to clear up my things here.
Then I will make arrangements for your arrival on Friday. The journey to Hassania takes approximately 36 hours from Baghdad. You must take the train to Kirkuk. Someone will be there to meet you.
Hello, hello, hello! Nurse Leathern? Well, you have to be Nurse Leathern, don't you? Seeing as how you're the only white girl to get off the train. I'm Bill Coleman.
How do you do, Mr. Coleman?
How are you feeling? A beastly journey and all that.
Pretty beastly. I'm not very good at sleeping on trains.
This your kit?
Well, it isn't anyone else's.
It's pretty modest. Mrs. Leidner had 4 suitcases and a trunk, to say nothing of hat boxes, a patent pillow, and this and that and the other. The bus is just outside.
The bus?
The station wagon. I should warn you, it's not very well sprung. You'd better be prepared for a bumpy journey.
Is there much more of this?
About another couple of hours. What are you complaining about? It's very good for you. Jogs the liver a bit.
Stimulated liver won't be much good to me if my head's split open.
Have you ever been out on a dig before?
No, never.
And do you know any of the people out at Hassania?
No one, apart from Dr. Leidner, of course.
They're a very mixed assortment, but most archaeological expeditions are. There's an English architect, Richard Carey, and Father Lavigny, who's French with a big black beard. He works on the inscriptions.
Inscriptions?
He deciphers the tablets and things that turn up. He's an expert on ancient languages. Walking Rosetta Stone. There's Reiter, who does the photography, and Joseph Mercado and his wife. I've never quite worked out where they come from, but she's pretty weird. And David Emmett, a young American who seems to know something about pottery. Oh, and of course there's Miss Johnson, who's been on most of Leidner's expeditions. I think he probably dug her up in Ur of the Chaldees. Where did Leidner find you, anyway?
I was recommended by Dr. Riley.
Oh, that accounts for it. We don't see much of Riley out at Tel Yaramia.
Tell what?
Tel Yaramia. That's the name of the expedition house. Riley lives with his daughter in Hassania itself. Her name's Sheila. I've arranged for you to have lunch with her while I do some very necessary shopping.
What on earth does she need a nurse for? He's already got the whole expedition looking after her and attending at her beck and call.
I suppose Dr. Leidner feels they've got their own work to do.
All the same, a professional nurse, that's going it a bit, isn't it?
You don't think there's anything wrong with her?
Of course there's nothing wrong with her. The woman's as strong as an ox. She's bored, that's her trouble. She's not even remotely interested in archaeology, so she provides her own drama. But Leidner just can't see it. Dear Louise hasn't had a wink of sleep, he'll say. She's got dark circles round her eyes. Of course, anyone but him would know she puts them there with a blue pencil.
Perhaps she's nervous living out there miles from anyone.
What on earth is there to be nervous of? God knows there are enough of them living in the expedition house, and they've got guards. No, she's not really nervous. At least
what?
Bill took me over there the other day. It was in the morning. Most of the expedition were out at the dig. Mrs. Leidner was sitting writing a letter, and I suppose she didn't hear us coming. She must have seen Bill's shadow thrown on the wall, and she let out the most frightful scream. She apologized afterwards, of course. She said she thought it was a strange man. Bit odd, that. I mean, even if it was a strange man, why scream the place down?
It does seem a bit odd.
What did Leidner tell you about her?
Oh, she just said that she'd be safer if I was there.
She's certainly very jumpy. Mind you, they all look pretty desperate. I don't know what's the matter with them. Miss Johnson goes about so glum she can't open her mouth, and poor Carey looks a nervous wreck, as if he's going to snap in two at any moment. Oh, there's Bill back in the station wagon. You'll be able to judge for yourself soon enough.
That's where the dig is, over there, that great mound by the bend in the river.
The workmen look like ants running all over it.
It's knocking off time. The only time of the day you'll ever see them run. And this is the expedition house. Not much to look at, I'm afraid.
It's a bit like a prison.
I'll drop you off on the courtyard. And there are the boys washing the pottery. They go on like that all the time. You'll soon get used to it. And here comes her ladyship.
Mr. Coleman, you've been away